Hello, I'm Tom Bailey, and in today's episode, I'll be getting to know Katrina Widener, who is a business coach, a podcast host, and of course, a community leader. So, Katrina, hello, and a very warm welcome to today's episode.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate it. And just out of interest for all of our listeners, whereabouts in the world are you right now?
I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the US.
I, I love it. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see Katrina's got a lovely Christmas tree in the background. So we are at that time of year. Um, Incredible. So I just want to share just a little bit more about you before we do get started. So Katrina helps badass entrepreneurs get lit up in business through her custom group coaching community. And you can find her on Instagram on @katrina.widener. The title for today's episode is How to Make Business Feel Easy and Successful. And Katrina's going to show us how to do that in just 7 minutes. So question number one for you today is, who are your ideal clients?
So for me, my ideal clients are like those, I would call them maybe like mid-tier entrepreneurs. So
Yeah.
people who are not beginners, but are making like around that like $50,000 to $115,000.
Nice.
Honestly, the people that I work with are genuinely like the type of people who are, I love what I do, I love my business, but why does it feel so difficult all the time?
Yeah.
Why do I feel alone? Can you just give me a roadmap on how to grow it? Like, I know some things that work, but I haven't been able to really just like feel 100% confident in every decision that I'm making along the way.
Yeah.
And that's like where I love to dive in.
Perfect. And I guess at that $50,000 to $115,000, you don't yet have a big team around you. So that
Yes.
feeling of loneliness, who do I lean on? I can definitely resonate with that. So when you think of your clients and the people you typically work with, what's the biggest challenge that they normally face?
It's consistent income that doesn't feel like a struggle,
Yeah.
right? It's like basically we at that point in time know how to bring some clients in. We know how to like, okay, I'm doing this, like it's going okay. Like I'm able to live off of my business now. I'm full-time. I know what I'm doing. But I want to reach that next level. I want to make it feel that much easier, and I want it to be fun again. Normally those clients are the people who've been in business a couple of years, and they're like, I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried that and I've tried that, and they're like, and I'm getting a little burnt out, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, and it would just be so nice to have someone do this with me who I'll like also can guide me to that place that I want to end up at.
Yeah, absolutely. And the word consistency, I hear a
Yes.
lot, and the lack of consistency, because it may be you have a $10,000 month, but then next month you don't get any clients, and then the month
Yes.
after you get a few. So how do we create that consistency? That's a really good problem to solve. So I guess a lack of consistency, what impact does that typically have on the business owner?
Honestly, it's twofold. It's when we look at the business, right? It means that, hey, like I don't have that consistency. I don't know where my money's coming from. I don't know how to recreate my sales process every single time I want to go out and bring in new income. Like that's a big impact that inconsistent income has. But it's also that mental side. So it's the like, oh, I get a little bit of imposter syndrome, and then the next week I feel really great, and then the next week I'm like, well, why can't I recreate what I just did? And so it's very much this like up and down roller coaster. And that leads to those feelings of burnout or overwhelm or frustration, or again, just like, can somebody please just come and show me what I need to do?
Yeah, I completely understand. So for those people listening that are resonating with this, which I'm sure will be a lot of people, what would you say is that one piece of valuable advice that you can give them to really help them get started in solving this problem?
So the real trick to like making it feel easy is something that I talk about all the time, and that's alignment.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we're aligned with ourselves, but we also want to be aligned with our clients, and we want to be aligned with the industry within that we're working within. Or we want to choose to be aligned with ourselves at the expense of the industry we're working in, right? Like maybe doing things a little bit differently, breaking away from the norms. And so one of the big things that I tell people is like, it's time to get really curious about yourself and how you operate and how you've been operating, what works, what doesn't work, what you like doing, what you hate doing, but also get aligned with your clients. So what is their biggest need? Where are they feeling like they are worthy? Where are they feeling that they're not worthy? What are the things that you can do to uniquely help them? And it's really that combination of the three of them that allows you to solve that problem.
Yeah.
But people don't always know exactly how to get aligned without help.
Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense to me. So a lot of that around consistency, alignment, really getting to know the clients, what we can do for them, their problems. Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I guess for anyone who wants that and wants to find out more, where would you point them so they can get some resources or something to help them on this journey?
So the first thing that I normally do to point, like where I point people, is a free session. I do 45-minute free sessions with literally anyone.
Great. Yeah.
It's one thing that I really love doing, but it's also kind of that like, okay, I know that I need help, but I have no idea what to do. And we've all downloaded 35 million PDFs and joined 85 like email courses.
Yeah.
And actually getting like someone on a call and being able to say, this is my problem. Where do we even begin? That's like huge.
Yeah. I love it. And how would they book that session?
So if you go to my website or you go to my Instagram, I have like a link for the free session there. So super, super easy, super straightforward.
Great. And that website is katrinawidener.com. What I'll do is I'll post a link to that in the show notes so people can just click on that, book that session, and have that conversation with you about how they can move forward in their business.
Yes.
So next question from me is, when you think of your business and how you've been operating, what would you say is one of your greatest mistakes, failures, or lessons learned in life or in business? And what did you learn from it?
So this is when I'm like, I'm gonna have to keep this short.
Yeah.
I am a people person. I'm an extrovert. I love working with people. I am a co-leader of a local community here. I founded another community. And when I first started my business, I did one-on-one coaching exclusively, which, like, if you look at who I am and we talk about alignment, that's not aligned with me.
Yeah.
What's aligned with me is group business coaching. It's really that community forward approach. And so I tried for the first 3 years of my business to get it up and off the ground with just one-on-one coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And doing community in like different areas. And it wasn't until I was like, no, this is not aligned, that I started being like, oh, this is what it feels like to get traction. This is what it feels like to get that consistent income. And it's all because I just like looked at myself and said, what do I enjoy doing? How do I want to move forward in my business? And figured it out from there.
So you're not only having more impact in the world, but you're also having more fun and, feeding off that energy of the community as well. So it's a win-win-win for you in that respect.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, great. And what I'm just going to ask you one more question on the back of that, because I speak to a lot of introverts, speak to a lot of extroverts. And, I know that shifting from one-to-one to group coaching is actually a really good business strategy for leveraging your time. What about, would you speak to an introvert and would you still give them that advice? Or would you sometimes say to stick with the one-to-one coaching?
Oh, this is where the alignment factor comes in, right? Like if you're an introvert, you need to be making different like business decisions than an extrovert would.
Yeah.
And what I find often happens when you work with a business coach, and granted, there are many, many amazing business coaches out there that do not do this,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of business coaches out there who say, either this is what I've done, I'll help you replicate it. It's what a lot of courses do. Or they say, I'm just going to give the same exact cookie cutter advice to every single person who comes through my door.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It either leads to massive financial success and incredible burnout and hating every single thing you're doing, or it leads to, I can't get consistent income because I'm working against my natural strengths, my natural abilities. And that is why that alignment factor is so important, and why I'm talking about like consistent income that also feels easy and fun.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an extrovert, I'm going to make one choice. If you're an introvert, you're going to make another choice. And it's that ability to look past the shoulds, to look past the comparison, and to tune into yourself instead that is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And that's where I step in.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I guess for any course creators out there, anyone building communities, if you can bring in that personalization of
Mhm.
it's not just a one size fits all approach. I'm going to treat you all as individuals, even if we're in a group. Yeah, that's a great mindset to go into this with. So yeah, I love that. And the last question from me today is, what is the one question that I should have asked you today that will also bring some great value to our audience?
I think the main question that I normally have people ask me is just really that, like, how do I get aligned? How
Yeah,
do I actually make that happen?
yeah,
And if you're doing this like at home, DIY style, it's getting curious about yourself. It's asking yourself a lot of questions. Why do I do things this way naturally? When do I feel the most myself? When do I not like myself so much within my business? And when you start asking the right questions, that's when you can get the right answers that will lead you in the direction you want to go. It's really just like approaching yourself with curiosity, no shame and no blaming, but just like, what do I like to do? Oh, that's interesting. How can I incorporate that more?
that time out for self-reflection is, yeah, so important. And yeah, I love that thought of being more curious. I might put that as the subtitle to this episode. And I love it. So yeah, Katrina, thank you so much again for your time today. I really appreciate you coming along and sharing such great value with our audience.
Thank you so much for having me.